Hey there, it's Reen Rose. We're on day 27, and I just realized I've forgotten to change that on my screen again. So, darn, I am still trying to recover from having had a few days away, not as much sleep as usual. I actually slept for 11 and a half hours last night, and I could have slept longer. I had a meeting and I had to make sure I got myself up. But uh, I wonder if it's possible that even with that great big huge long sleep, that I will go to bed at my normal time tonight and still have a really good sleep. Sometimes if I sleep a very long time, I am not as tired when my normal bedtime comes around. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about in possibility going straight into my head. I'm not going to go, oh, I won't be able to sleep, because maybe I will. Maybe it's possible that this will not throw me off at all. I've just filled up those reserve tanks and I'm ready to move on as normal. But that wasn't what I intended to come in and talk about. What I really wanted to mention was the possibility around words. And this is one of those big things. Communication is one of the best places to go to if you want to get annoyed or feel like you haven't been heard, because so often what one person says gets misinterpreted by another person. And I do that myself. I will say something, and yet I know the person has not heard me. They're saying something back that just doesn't seem to make sense, or that I've misheard them. And that's what I am throwing out here for possibility, because I believe that it is not only possible, but also probable that something that makes me feel uncomfortable, angry, annoyed, all those triggering things that are said, often will be things that I have interpreted in not exactly the way that was intended. I'm really going to practice leaning into the possibility in any kind of communication that the feeling I get from the person, whether when you, it's hard to even describe this, but when you have a conversation with somebody and you know that they didn't mean anything by it, you just know, you feel their soul, you feel that whatever has come out, however you've interpreted, they weren't trying to hurt you. And I think that it's possible for us to lean into that in any conversation that we have in person, where we are actually hearing or seeing the person speaking and conversing with them, that if something sounds like, whoa, I don't like that, or that's mean, or whatever that is, stop and feel their energy. Were they meaning to say something that you've interpreted that way? Because if it feels like they weren't, then they probably didn't say what you thought they said. When it comes to anything in writing, never take it too much to heart, because it is possible and very probable that you're interpreting those words differently than they were planning them to be interpreted. Does that make sense? I don't know, but there's so many pitfalls in communication when it comes to what one person says and another person thinks they said. So that's where I'm coming to from right now, is leaning into that possibility that there is more behind whatever I interpreted the conversation to say or another person to say, and that I should always remember that just because my first instinct was to think they were saying a certain something doesn't mean that's what their intention was. So think about that one today. I'm certainly going to. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me on my lives. And if you come back on the replay, thank you just as much for taking the time to watch this. I will be back again tomorrow on day 28 of 66 Days of Possibility. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again soon.